You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Oh, sorry, still dancing from the music. Hey, this is Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Charge, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Yeah, I didn't know you had those dance moves. So starting to show off right. Must have learned those in Vegas.
I know, right? Just got back from Summer League.
No, doing great though. Hard to believe we're just 2+ days out from opening tip of TBT 2022. So can't wait.
With a slam for earliest previews. Next couple of days is going to be very busy for us as we're working on that. We want to have a palate cleanser. The regional previews are great. We're getting that. We have the graphics in process. But we also want to have a little bit of fun because Charge and some of his friends had a great idea of having a TBT fantasy draft. And so, Charge, first of all, before we invite our guests on the show to talk about their picks, could you let our listeners know what the rules were and a rough idea of what we're picking?
Yeah, no. So really excited. And we'll introduce him in a minute. Ty was the one who actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, we got to do a fantasy thing. There's not a whole lot out there, so let's do a league and have some fun." So thanks to Ty for putting that idea on my radar. Just had a blast doing the draft, but pretty much all it is basic DraftKings fantasy points. So we went through and selected 15 players. 10 players are going to be starters, and we'll have the team of 5 bench in case we have any no-shows, did not play, injuries, things of that nature. But so it's pretty straightforward from a fantasy standpoint. But the key here in this draft, obviously, is you don't only think of how good that player is, but which player is going to take you deep in the field. So there may be somebody who's a superstar, but if it's a round one loss in your mind, then you're probably not going to draft that guy. So you got to get the balance of talent and tenure through the TBT. So starting to play those 3-4 games to build a winning roster, which we'll find out very soon here that I do have that winning roster built, and I will be looking forward to collecting from Hayner and the rest of these guys.
Anyway, an arrogant and stupid Charge, as usual. He says those things. I'm kidding, of course, my buddy. Anyway, though, yeah, it's interesting. The key point there is how deep the teams go. And with the roster of teams, there is this middle class that's not quite as good maybe as some years, but those 2, 3, 4, 5 games became a complete disaster. And you can see from our picks how people played it. So, Charles, let's invite our guests to the show and bring up on stream. We have Ty, Luke, and Walt. So, first of all, Charles, introduce our friends.
Yeah, let me start with Ty. I mentioned him at the beginning, and appreciate him putting this on my plate as we talked about. And this is a star-studded panel of folks. So Ty is one of the TBT super fans who got to select a Mid-American Unity to take on Men of Mackey. So smart selection. I'm on that panel as well. So Ty, welcome to the show. How you doing tonight?
Good. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, and then Luke Kinberg should be no stranger to the TBT community. This guy won the Bitcoin last year, so if you want to, be taught some TBT knowledge today, Luke is the guy.
Hey, real quick, Charge.
Yeah.
Charge. How much is that Bitcoin worth now? It's worth like about 17 cents, right? With all the crypto crashing.
Yeah, something like that. Lucky Luke didn't get paid out in the Bitcoin and held on to it, so he's doing all right. So Luke, how you doing tonight?
I'm good. Excited to talk some TBT.
All right, and last but certainly not least is Walt. And Walt I started following last year. This guy's a genius when it comes to kind of niche daily fantasy games. And so, Walt, welcome to the show.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on. I've actually watched your guys' TBT show for the last couple of seasons, so I'm honored to be on here. I usually do the niche like college basketball stuff, but I fell in love with TBT during the bubble and the bubble season or whatever, and I'm loving it. So I'm happy to be here.
Happy to have you
for participating.
Okay, so let's get into it here. So we're going to go ahead. So we had a snake draft. I, through bribing Charge, got the first pick, which means I also have the 12th and 13th picks. So we're going to highlight our first 3 rounds and then show our full rosters and discuss them at leisure. We're going to right into it. So obviously with the first pick, you're going to go with a guy who fills it up, and you have to really think for the money team, Jimmer Fredette. I mean, he's going to take a high number of shots. He's a high volume scorer for a team that's one of the favorites to reach Dayton. So the combination of usage, shot quality, frankly, the balls to hit a ton of shots, and also the fact the TMT team is the favorite to get out of Dayton. It's a no-brainer first pick. He was the leading scorer last time he was in TBT, so I was gifted the number one pick, and I hopefully didn't screw it up. Ty, so about yours for a minute. You went with a very good veteran player who last year made a lot of noise for Boeheim's Army.
Yep. So I went with the reigning MVP, Tyrese Rice. I was hoping for a top 3 pick. I had a clear top 3 between Jimmer, Tyrese, and Marcus Keene. Marcus Keene gets a lot of credit for being Marcus Elam, but we should maybe start calling Tyrese Rice Tyrese Elam, because he really took over some games down the stretch during the Elam ending last year. And I've got Gutter Cat making a deep run this year, so couldn't go wrong with Tyrese.
Yeah, definitely. The quality of his MVP season last year, his ability to hit shots, his ability, and plus when a guy has the ball as a point guard and is a shooting point guard, he can dictate the amount of scoring he's going to do. Now, Charge would disagree with your clear top 3 because he had a slightly different take in the 3rd spot going off a TNT player. Charge, get into it.
Yeah, no, it's definitely Dominique Jones, and this is where the belief in which team will go the furthest. So obviously, no disrespect to Marcus Keene, amazing basketball player, TBT legend in the short time that he's played in the TBT. But I truly believe Florida TNT is going to be your TBT 2022 champions, and Dominique Jones has, nothing short of dominant in his time in the TBT, one of the most storied TBT players in history. All TBT team last year, averages well over 30 fantasy points per game, and so this was a no-brainer for me, is to go with Dominique Jones.
Definitely. I can see that, and obviously, Charge raises a good point. So, Charge and I on previous shows have talked about probably the best possible matchup prior to Dayton is in the Xavier region between TNT and Sideline, and that especially colored the picks. Charge going with, however, Dominique Jones gave Walt quite the gift here at number 4. So, Walt, obviously, you might have a different take.
Yeah, no, part of the, I knew about TBT beforehand, but like I said, 2020, I really got into it. And the main reason for that was Marcus Keene, just, the way he led them as I believe they were the 22nd seed and making the final there. He's just a complete bucket getter, really underutilized guy in college. He was, played at Youngstown State. A lot of people didn't even know who he was still to this day. So a guy who averaged last year 18, 6, and 3 with a couple steals, shooting about 40% from distance. So this Xavier region is really tough. They have a chance to, have a really hard second round matchup and then potentially, TNT down the road. So it is a little bit risky, but he's somebody I feel comfortable with. They've beaten, Joe Johnson led teams before, and this Sideline Cancer team added Mike Dwam. So I feel confident that they're going to make a deep run. And Marcus Keene to me is still, if not the best player in the TBT, definitely a top 3.
Absolutely. If they can get past TNT, he's an obvious first team TBT pick. But that TNT versus Sideline potential regional final is going to make or break not just this fantasy draft, but pretty much the entire tournament, because the winner of that game is a heavy favorite to go extremely deep. Now, Corey's not here, but we can talk about the fact Corey went a little bit in a different direction with the Kyle Wiltshire pick. So let's ask the table. And let's maybe start with Walt. How do you feel about this pick?
Yeah, he watches TBT, but he's not he's into CBB and stuff with me. So, he's a big Gonzaga guy, and he, he's a fan of Kyle Wiltshire. So he went a little off the board with this pick. Wiltshire can definitely fill it up in this format, but it was definitely, admittedly from him, a little bit of a reach, but he could surprise us. He's still a great player, but definitely there's some other players ahead of him I would have taken.
Yeah, you got to assume Boeheim's is going to go deep. So,
it's a smart pick.
The pick that was expected, but if you truly believe Boeheim's is going to make a run, then you can't go wrong here.
The problem with Boeheim's, though, is where the shot, because there's a lot of distribution shots. Because with not having Rice and with the retirement of Eric Devendorf, they have a really good team, but the shots could be. So, first of all, Tyler Ennis will shoot a lot, right? Mm-hmm. And also Andrew White will be on the wing very active. They just picked up some other good guards today, in fact. So Wiltshire will obviously be a force, but will he be a guy to get the buckets? And plus with them using so much of Kane and Kennedy, how many minutes will he get? Wiltshire, when he's on the floor, will score. The question is the volume and the usage, not the efficiency. Yeah. Okay, getting into that, we got Luke up next. So Luke, you won a bunch of money last year, so we should listen to you. Antonio Blakely seems like a pretty smart pick. Again, why are we thinking that direction?
Yeah, I have the same thought as Charge. I think I think Florida TNT is the best team. And I had Blakeney 1 on my big board, and I had Jones 2nd. I think Jones is a smart play. Like Charge said, he's a fantasy guy, but Blakeney just gets buckets flat out. His whole career, McDonald's All-American, went to LSU, got buckets. I don't know where he ranks in the all-time G League points per game, but he's got to be high. Been in the 30s, did the same thing in China. And then I look last year, he's 25, 5, and 4 in the Israeli First League. So the guy just flats out scores. And then again, I think they're going to be there. I would be surprised if they don't get past sideline cancer, ended up playing 4 or 5 games, and I have them winning the whole thing. So to me, it was pretty simple. I got to trust my gut, go with the team I think is going to be there, and then take the guy who's going to score the most points. So
I will say this. You just said that it would surprise you if Sideline beat TNT. Now, I think most of us agree that is the early game or the non-Dayton game of the region. I'm surprised. Is anybody else super confident in that? So I think it's a flip. I think they're both incredible teams. Raise your hand if you're incredibly confident in one of the two teams in that matchup. I'm just curious.
I wouldn't say incredibly. I think they're better. They got great big men and then guards that can score. Sideline's good. I don't know. And this is probably anti the regular TBT fan, but I just feel Dom and Keen are honestly, a little overrated. Like, they had the run in the bubble. They won games last year, but it's just like you start getting that buzz. Everybody's on the same thing. Like, what did Dom do? He had a couple good games in the bubble. He's never won it. Keen's been good, but I don't know. Creek, Abel, and Artis aren't my favorite. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Wow, Luke coming with the heat. Charge, what are you thinking there?
I'm back at TNT, and I love Luke planting the flag there. I mean, that's what it's all about, and making the call, having some fun. So love
Luke.
Love the
you're
call.
always welcome on the show with those kind of
He did
tips.
make a mistake on Dominic Jones, though. Blakeney is going to be 1B, Jones 1A. So
Actually, you both made a mistake, and we'll get to that in a
he
minute.
had him on the number 1, but we'll see how it goes.
You guys left a pretty good score off TNT for someone else to vulture a little bit later, much later in the process.
Oh,
Okay.
We'll talk about your pick later.
Yeah, we will. I got good value. I am the great value. I am the Walmart great value of picks. So good first round. So, Luke, we're coming back to you. Darius Johnson of championship pedigree, big score. Tell us your logic of why the Golden Eagles star is your pick here at the start round 2.
You touched on it. Championship pedigree, former MVP. I like Golden Eagles. I think that I think that I'm not confident about, but I do think that they will beat the money team, be a Final Four team. Mm-hmm. And I think they'll get on to the Final Four. But again, like you said, I think without Jameel Wilson, he's going to have to carry the scoring load a little bit more. Him and Bikes are a good 1-2 punch, but the thing with him, and he proved it, down the stretch against some of the better teams in the bubble, he can hit threes. He gets to the rim well. He's physical at 6'3", scores around the rim, and it's tough in Elam ending time. So I think that's a stat sheet. He'll stuff the stat sheet. Looking back on it, I think I probably could have waited a little bit more. I guess that's something I have to ask you guys, but overall, pretty confident in the pick.
I think you could have waited. The problem you and I folks face is we're snakes, right? So we had to kind of get our picks in.
Exactly.
So if you wanted a guy, you kind of had to reach because you didn't know if he'd be there literally 10 picks later. Because you and I had the advantage of having some clusters and thinking. So if you wanted him badly, if you really thought he was this high on your board, you kind of had to get him. But if you were like the third pick, if you were where Walt was, you probably could have waited, but maybe not where you were at. So that's a strong pick. And plus, again, if they beat TNT, they got some damage in them. Now, again, Corey's not here, but he made the move he made a pretty good pick here, honestly. Amari Spellman is going to get some buckets. And so let's let Ty talk here. So Ty, what do you think about the Spellman pick?
I think Eberline's probably being one of the most slept on teams this year. And I think Spellman's kind of that perfect big for TBT. He can step out and shoot it. He's not going to die on an island with guards switching on defense. So I think it's a very good pick. And Eberline's always high scoring as well. So,
yeah, I really think Eberline has an excellent chance of being the aftershocks on the home floor. And I mean, we know they can score. They still are scoring on Stillwater Stars. There's absolutely no reason they can't put buckets up. Walt, so you went with one that I'll be seeing in person. I personally love this pick a lot. In Deshaunte Bradford. So tell us a little bit about why you went with the man in West Virginia.
Yeah, so this West Virginia region is, full of really physical teams, and that Buccaneers team, they really impressed me last year. I mean, they had my sideline guys on the ropes there until some late game heroics. So I think that this is clearly, that I know Heard That is a very big fan favorite, so a lot of people will push me back on that. But I think Buccaneers is gonna walk away from this region. So I think he has that going for him. 3-4 games, and then the fact that last year he averaged over 17 points per game, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. Like he had or actually 4 assists, 7 rebounds, and he also had a 30-point game last year. But then you take it away, he's not all scoring. Like he had a 7.7 rebound, 7 assist game. He had a 16.4 rebound, 3 assist game. So he's just, I'm really looking for like what I do when I'm playing daily fantasy, not necessarily guys who just score, but fill up the stat sheet as well and can give me those additional points with steals, blocks, and everything with the bonuses. So I think Bradford is, one of a couple guys on this Buccaneers team that are going to end up being sneakily pretty good. And it's not necessarily a household name except for you TBT grinders like yourselves.
I think the thing about Bradford that interests me too is like, and Charge, you can comment on this briefly too. West Virginia is not as top heavy. Some regions there's a clear 1-2-3 or 1-2 heaviness. It's a bit of a mess, West Virginia. Like I totally think the Buccaneers can walk out. I also see them getting ran off the floor by the shooting of Woco. So I mean, like I don't really. This will be a very tough region to predict. But if they play kind of defense, this is a good pick, right, Charge?
Yeah, and if anything, it's going to be who already making a run at him in the second round. So let's not get ahead of yourself on the Woco pick. But yeah, no, I mean Buccaneers obviously impressed big time last year, and they only got stronger this year. Obviously, had a couple guys move out, a couple guys move in, but I think if you truly believe, the West Virginia regional is wide open, anyone can win it, and you believe in that Buccaneer team, then solid pick.
Yeah, we're going to stay a few bit here, Charge. We're going to talk a little bit about your pick. And your pick was actually very easy. I think he might have fallen a bit. So I think you feel very lucky to be taking Team Arkansas star Jalen Barford.
Yeah, no, I love the Jalen Barford pick. Obviously, we've had him on the show before. I mean, this guy just gets it done, whether it's, putting the Jackson, Tennessee underdogs on his back to 1 year, averaged over 40 fantasy points per game. Last year, he averaged 36 a game on a good Arkansas team. This is probably the best Arkansas team that they've ever put together. And I think he's just going to, once again, do a little bit of everything. Walt talked about it. This is what I really looked for. I drafted mostly guards that I could find that are, going to score, going to rebound, going to get some assists, can play some defense, get some steals. And so, I mean, to me, this was a steal with pick 4 in round 2. I truly believe this Arkansas team, it's a little risky taking them over Gutter Cat Gang, but I did take them over Gutter Cat Gang in my bracket. I think that, and I know what you think, but I really think that Gutter Cat Gang team is going to be good, but they've had a lot of roster movement, and that's typical of the Hines teams. They're kind of pulling things together last minute. The 1 year they made a great run. Then when they were Sicklerville, they got romped in the first round. So like Gutter Cat, it's just I don't know what I'm going to get from them, and I know this is going to be the best Arkansas team ever, especially with Sonny Weems on it.
Absolutely. I love the pick. This is one of my favorite picks on the board when he made this. I was like, how'd he fall that far? I mean, if he had fallen 2 more picks, I was like ready to submit it. I was totally ready to submit it. Ty, you followed up with a very, very interesting pick of Marvell Harris, ALS player. So Ty, get into it.
So first of all, I love Barford's game. I actually played against Barford in 2015 and 2016 was when he was at Motlow in Tennessee, JUCO. But if you look last year, Marvell Harris outplayed him, in that second round game and just kind of took that game over in the Elam ending. And I think Marvell Harris is probably the most slept on player in TBT. He was 23 a game last year. They probably beat Wichita if he doesn't go down in the Elam ending. And I've got ALS actually in the title game, so I just wanted to come up early.
Don't be listening to Mike Iliano. Now, I got to ask you a question just from the mechanics of this. He said slept on. Did you think about waiting? Because you only had to sit through 2 of my picks. Did you think about waiting?
Yeah, I did think about waiting. And then, like you said, if Barford would have been there, I may have actually taken Barford thinking I could have got Marvell. But I had Marvell in the top 5 on my board, so I just want to go ahead and snag him up.
Now, I will confess, it's interesting to talk about having boards is I was traveling to Summer League for content/fun in Vegas. So usually I'm in front of my computer most of the day. I wasn't on my phone the whole time, so I didn't have a board. So I'm going to crush your dreams, Ty. you could have waited. He wasn't on my radar at all. So you totally could have waited. I know Marvell's a good player, but it wasn't something I was looking to pick because I was kind of my phone slapdash. So you totally could have waited on one of the premier players in TBT. But I went ahead and got Boynton. So I'll tell you why I got Boynton. That makes, by the way, 3 TNT players in the top 2 rounds, which makes sense because of the quality of the team. Every guard is good, but Boynton is also an electric scorer. And this kind of value in the second round for a team that may make the final felt really good because those other 2 players are also really good players, but Boynton scored right with them. And frankly, getting his value lower is a pretty good deal for me. So I'll take it. And I think we're all big believers in TNT with varying levels of confidence. Charge, what are your favorite pick on this board besides yours?
I gotta say, yeah, mine, of course. To be honest, just based on my belief in Team Challenge ALS as well, I totally agree. Marvell Harris is just one of those guys that comes in every single year, contributes at a high level. If this team goes deep, he's an all TBT guy. So I really like that pick. Darius Johnson-Odom, I'm not confident that Golden Eagles are going to get past Red Scare. So that one is a great name, great player. I'm just not confident. But, yeah, Kenny Boynton, I'm nervous. That one, Hayner, you'll see, had a really, really good draft, surprisingly, of course. But, the Kenny Boynton pick is just risky to me just based on you've got Jones, you've got Blakeney now, you got Rob Gray now. There's just so many good guards out there that they're going to be trotting out there. So I truly believe that one's a little risky as well. But you didn't ask me that. Harris is the best pick on this page to me.
That feels pretty accurate. We have one more round. We're going in depth. Then we'll talk about everybody's individual boards. We're going to one last round. And I ended up, speaking of someone Luke thought might be a little overrated, I went with Mike Dahm. Now, it's a bit of a hedge. And I actually really think TNT and sideline is an absolute coin flip. But I'll know this. The guys who score for both those teams will make up in the 3 games they're going to play enough to make it worth it. So it's a bit of a hedge. I'm pretty sure. I'm not confident about sideline or TNT, but I am confident that winner will go all the way to Dayton and well into Dayton. So I'm going to hedge a bit. One of these guys, be it Dahm or Boynton, is putting up buckets deep into this thing. Ty, you went with the fan favorite. You went with, obviously, the king of West Virginia, the lesser Elmore brother, John Elmore. Talk a little bit about why John was your pick here.
Yeah, I mean, I had to scoop John up. Like you said, potentially having less games, John can still make that up in less games. But I actually have heard that coming out of West Virginia. Excited. It sounds like they got one more roster ad coming down the pipe, so excited to see who that is. But
it's Ja'Cory. No, I wish it was Ja'Cory. Man,
I wish it was Ja'Cory too. I'm MTSU grad, so cheering for Marshall is kind of dirty, but John and the guys make it easy. No Ja'Cory. I think John's going to have to score even more this year. He was already 25, 5, and 4 last year on almost 50, 40, 90, adding 2 steals a game. So it's hard to find guys who put up those numbers. So it was a no-brainer in my opinion.
Pretty solid pick. Kind of surprised he didn't get a Summer League invite this year at this point. Now, Charge went a little against the grain here. I like this pick, though. D-Boss, talk about the new Syracuse alum that will be shouldering a pretty heavy load.
Yeah, no, I love this pick as well. I truly think Boeheim is going to, at a very minimum, play 3 games. I think that Friday Beers team is going to give them a challenge in the regional finals at Syracuse. But I think Boeheim's is – you see them loading up today. They added Matt Morgan. I think the Boeheim's team is going to continue to put the right players in place to play. And D-Boss is going to be one of those guys. He may not lead the team in scoring, but he's going to be facilitating and doing a lot of great things for the team. One of the elite guards in Europe right now. So couldn't go wrong with, getting minimum 3 games out of this guy.
Fair enough. I like the pick. I'm curious. I'm with you. I think Syracuse, the Boeheim's Syracuse alum will go pretty deep. But I think that Beers matchup, or blue collar the way, it's going to be a really tough matchup for them. Walt did really good. Now, Sonny Weems here. So we're looking at Team Arkansas's Sonny Weems. So the question becomes, as a veteran, how much will Sonny play? Walt, did your thinking be how many touches he would get?
Yeah, definitely. I was, I know I wanted a piece of this Arkansas team. I whoops, maybe a little bit of a reach on Weems. He's a veteran. He played in college back in like '08. But he's still, and he's over in China right now. So, or not, he's playing in China. So he's putting up those video game numbers, or he did last season, because everybody over there in China is putting up those numbers. But he's got many years of EuroLeague experience, and he's the type of guy who's pretty crafty at this point and efficient. So even if he's not going to be out there, 30 minutes a game, I feel like if they can get him 20, he'll still do enough to make it worthwhile. And if Arkansas can get a couple rounds through, like I think, they're going to be without Hannes in that first game because he's at summer league right now. Maybe they're asking him to do a little bit more, but I think he'll be worth it. And in the end, it was more of a pick where a team that I thought was going to go far, and I wanted a piece where they're going to average enough. And I don't think he's going to be a 5-minute player or anything. I think they brought him in to use him.
That makes sense. I like that a lot. And plus, I think in that first round game, not having Hannes and also playing a team that likes to have fun, play a little loose, having a veteran stabilizer to get buckets and not get too ragged, he might really be he might outscore Barford against the guys just to make sure that it gets it stable, it keeps it tight. Save Barford later. So Weems might get some licks in early with Hannes being down and the nature of their first couple of opponents. So Corey went with the money team of Xavier Munford. So who wants to take this pick? Raise your hand. Let's talk a little bit about Xavier for Corey. Anybody want this?
Personally, if I was taking another money team guy, I probably would have went Crawford here, but Mumford did take that game over against Karma's Crew last year. So I just worry about his usage dropping with Jimmer coming aboard, where Crawford, he's still going to be involved, handling the ball, dishing out assists. But no, good pick here still.
Mumford's a quality player, but that's my thing too, is all of his looks very well might get vultured by Crawford and Jimmer. I mean, it's not like Mumford won't be a great player. This is a statistical thing, though. So will he get the shots to put up the volume? His usage will go down a lot, considering both his point guards don't really pass a ton. They're both scoring guards. Even think he might get vultured, but still, at the end, if he needs a stabilizing bucket and fill it up other way, still a big force. So Luke made a great value pick. This made me real happy a lot. So Luke, Team Heartfire's Raphael Putney. What are we doing here?
Yeah, I love it. I had to rock with 23 Heartfire. I think they're the second best team in the tournament. I rode with them last year. Ended up, making me money, so I'm gonna keep with them. And I think Putney is just tremendous. I remember coming on here last year, right before the championship game, and I pretty much said the same thing. Been watching him since his time in the G League with the Bayhawks, and tremendous all-around player. Maybe the best defender in the tournament. Probably, I would say, my next pick, Kyle Hines, is probably right there with him, at least accolades-wise. All-time leading blocks leader in the G League. At least he was a year ago. Maybe that's changed. Charge would probably know the answer. But he can shoot from deep. He scores around the rim. Tremendous shot blocker. I think he's probably the only downside with this pick, I would say, is the depth that Heartfire has in the front court. But I think you got to start him. I think he can play the 3 or the 4. He'll probably lead the team in minutes if I had to guess, and I have them making a deep run. So it kind of everything blended together, and I'm glad I got him in the third round. Or sorry, the second round.
I do want to dwell on that too, because not only do I also like Heartfire, this is the first pick where we've all gone for scores. This is the first time somebody went for a guy who will do a fancy value for everything. Because Putney is a shot blocker, he's a key defender, he's a rebounder. So this is the first pick that actually acknowledged fantasy is a little bit past just your scoring. And I thought it was incredible value here. Go ahead.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I think Walt touched on it. You're looking at the guys who can stuff the box score, and that's him for sure. I mean, I see if he had 12, 8, 3, 2, and 2, I wouldn't be surprised at kind of a number like him. And I like him. I don't know. Even going back when he played with Overseas Elite in 2020 in the bubble, I thought maybe he should have played more. And then maybe Mark Hughes played him more the following year, and that may have been a big reason to go along with a lot of the other guys that were good last year. But I'm excited. I'm excited to watch them play, and I think they'll be there late into Dayton.
So that makes sense. Now, we did the first 3 rounds in depth. We're going to talk about people's individual boards briefly, let them comment their thoughts, and then we'll make fun of them, of course. So we're going to start with Ty. We're going to run around the Ty. So Ty's picks are up there. So first of all, Ty, give us your thinking about how you got your board together.
Yeah, so, I wanted guys on teams who are going to go deep. Another thing I prioritized was kind of teams who lost guys this year, so guys might be seeing usage bumps. We already saw that with John. And, I think Tyrese is going to see more usage on Guttercat this year. But I think both Bikes and Elgin Cook are going to see usage bumps with no Jamil Wilson. Hoping Marquette goes with some Cook at the 5, but we'll see. And then obviously I already said I've got ALS going deep, so I wanted to get more exposure to them with Jerome Randall and Archie Goodwin. I think Jerome Randall's just a game changer if he's healthy. He's 20, 25 a night when he's healthy in the TBT. And then, I mean, the TBT GOAT in the 6th round, DJ Kennedy, can't go wrong with that. Personally, I think that's the best value pick of the draft.
He does fill a stat sheet in many ways. Can you also talk about, you got the lesser Elmore, you also got the greater Elmore.
The archer had to get odd on the squad. Like I said, I've heard that coming out of West Virginia. So if I need to throw him in there, he might bang in a couple threes for me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the thing is, look, he wasn't even the 15th pick. Ty was so concerned that someone was going to snipe Ott that he jumped up a couple extra rounds, and so this isn't Mr. Irrelevant. This is a legit pick for Ott Elmore.
What's funny about Ott, too, is Ott is one of our favorite guests. So, actually, when we do the West Virginia preview, I think we're just going to have him actually co-host with us that day because he's just too much fun. So, great picks all around. Love the Kane pick, too. Kane's one of my favorite players in this. Okay, Walt, walk us through your logic here.
Yeah, so, I mean, of course, players that you think are going to go far, but I mainly went a lot, I have Paul Atkinson there, but I went a lot of like what I deem to be high usage scoring guards who are going to, when the games are close or they need a bucket, those are who they're going to go with. Obviously, Massenberg is not going to be out there, so that hurt a little bit. I was able to kind of backfill with Wes Clark later on in the draft, which I'm happy about. But players like Isaiah Swain, AJ English, Jordan Burns, Jacob Young, those are all guys who in college, where mainly I pay attention to them at, were high usage guys that I think looking at their rosters and what their roles will be, they'll be able to fill that high scoring role for me. And then of course get those additional stats, but really just be the bucket getters and those guys late in the game that are going to be able to score. Also kind of plan to pair. So I put Bo Hodges out there, who's new to the Buccaneers. If I think they're going to make a far run, I wanted to have a couple guys from them, and then I wanted to add Mo Creek with Marcus King. I think that maybe I valued Creek a little more than you guys did. I wanted to make sure I didn't let him slip too far. He's an Elam guy too, making the last second shots, and he's been in those shooting contests leading up to the tournament. He looks very, very confident. So I feel for me, Sideline Cancer is a pretty battle tested team, and I think that they're going to ultimately come out of there. So I wanted to have multiple pieces of them as well. And as far as like sneak plays go, or kind of undervalued guys, Admin Gilder to me, if the Omaha guys are able to get past a potentially tough second round matchup, Gilder's
tough
a guy.
Tough first round.
True. Yeah. He's the type of guy though that before you look down, you might even notice and look at the box score and be like, "Well, that guy scored 27. Where did that happen?" He did it in college all the time. So I feel pretty happy with where I'm at.
I want to say real quick, you're 8 and 9.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool.
Swine were really exciting to me. Charge, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say it's been pretty cool with everyone's different experiences in TBT and how they consume basketball. You can see Walt's pick, and you also see it in Corey's when we get there. That very much college basketball driven. So I mean, I have no idea who Gilder is. I mean, if he showed up at TBT, I wouldn't know until I did the research on him. But these guys were looking for some of those sneaky plays on some under the radar guys, and looks like he's got some really good value there. So I can't wait to see if these guys turn it up in TBT like you believe they are.
And
Wes Clark in the 11th round is great.
Value and
that's a steal. That was, I think, that was the one where, because someone's always going to snipe your pick, here and there. But that was the one I was ready to pull the trigger on. And, unfortunately, Walt was right there for it. I still think, Friday Beers is going to take them down. But that was the one I wanted to have just to kind of offset. If that did.
I was super fortunate because the Massenberg news came out like right when I was about to pick. So I think if it would have been like on the other side of the draft, I would have been screwed. So I was fortunate on that one.
Yeah, Ty, you should have waited a little bit longer to let us know you heard that news.
Now, one thing, Massenberg actually wasn't on that official email that they sent out with the roster update. It says being out. So I thought that was interesting. But
yeah, well, the good thing here is just, full disclosure. Obviously, we let Walt pick another player. So if Massenberg does show up, he will have the ability to put Massenberg back into the lineup. And the podcast was Inside the TBT, our good friends who run the official podcast of TBT, mentioned on their podcast. So we did disclose that to Walt, so you can at least get a backup player for them. But if Massenberg does show up, and we did have a couple people like Mooney dropped out, so we want to make sure everyone's got a full roster heading into Saturday. So if he does show up still, then we'll be good to go and can reinsert him.
Okay. Going ahead, we've got Corey's picks. So let's make fun of Corey's picks because he's not here. He couldn't show up. Even though I do like some picks here. So, Charge, what was your favorite pick on this board? There's a couple of really nice ones.
I think, the Mari Spellman one, I think is still just really, really appealing to me. I think that's a Eberline team that's going to go very, very deep. I think they definitely make it out of Wichita. I think with him being an unknown entity, it's a guy that I probably would not have picked as early, but I think he's probably got the most upside out of anybody that's on there. The other one that he picked up a little bit deeper, because I truly believe West Virginia is going to make it out of West Virginia's Jason Page. He was tearing it up in TBT before he got hurt. That's probably 3-4 years ago now, but I think that's a really good value pick to get him that late in the draft, and still has an opportunity to get out of the West Virginia region.
Rob Gray at 6 is a killer. Go ahead, Ty.
It's too much West Virginia with me when I only see him getting 2 games, so that's all I'll say.
We'll see. I mean, if they can beat the Brothers, yeah.
All overheard that Andy Elmore's. Ty is a fan. But I do love the Jimmy Witt pick. Everyone's got to have a Charger guy on their roster, so that's a.
I was going to say that pretty good value at the bottom.
Yeah, his board is full of college players, so you can see where his background is too.
Okay, Luke. Really like your board. Talk about the. I mean, I think you talk about me having a good draft. I see a lot of quality up and down this, and you went with veterans like Crawford. Crawford at 6 is an absolute steal. Ennis is going to be a trigger man at 7 there. He's going to be really solid. Liggins at 11 will probably be pretty decent usage for a team that goes deep. And then you went ahead and got one of the Thompson twins as a high upside 15th. Like this board, I frankly, this board gives me an erection. It's fantastic. What was your logic going in?
Yeah, I mean, I tried to just pick with the teams that I thought were going to go the furthest. I think that's what everybody did. But that being said, I got a lot, like I touched on, I got a lot of heart fire in there. I think Kevin Mack and DeAndre Liggins. Now, this is going to be a decision on which one I'm going to keep in the top 10 because I think I'm going to keep Mayo in there. I'm debating on putting Artis in. You're so confident in sideline cancer, Hainer. I feel like I have to put Artis in there. But
real quick. I'm confident in sideline cancer as a team, and Artis is a great player, but this is a stat-driven thing. I think sideline is great. I think Artis is great, but will he get touches? I don't know.
I think he does. I mean, I was looking at the stats and just looking at the games. I think I'll just flat out say, maybe I'm a little biased. Pitt alum, I was there when he was there. But I just think he's better than Creek. I think he's better than Abel. And probably a better defender, too. I know when they played Joe Johnson, he played him relatively tough. He usually is guarding the other team's best wing, and he can shoot it, dribble. So I don't know. Maybe he'll slide in that 10 spot. But I was happy to get Trey Davis. I think they're the best team in Rucker. So I think that's a guaranteed – not a guaranteed.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, but he, and it's the Rucker Park is a point guard driven thing. I think he should be able to distribute the ball, and he's obviously a volume scorer when he gets going. Happy with that pick. And then I'll touch on Crawford and Ennis a little bit. I think Crawford is tremendous. He's going to have the ball in his hands. I think obviously Jimmer will too, but Crawford, he kind of runs the show. And even back in the Team Fredette days, watching some of those highlights and stuff, Jimmer was in transition getting out, but he was coming off a lot of screens, and Crawford had the ball in his hands. He can light it up. And then Ennis too. I think Ty had a good pick with Kennedy and Kane. I mean, it's almost like we were talking about them going far. Like, how can you not bet on DJ Kennedy to not get, to win 3 or 4 games in the tournament? And I think Ennis, probably right behind Boast from a scoring perspective. So happy with that. And then Anthony Brown too. Just last guy I'll touch on. Tremendous scorer. Was great at Stanford. And he kind of bounced around the league. Didn't work out. I think he'll put up good numbers. The only thing with him I'm a little worried about, and maybe I'm just. Who knows, but just the toughness. Sometimes I feel like you get those guys who were in the league a little bit and had tremendous college careers. They get to TBT, and it's not always the easiest fit. I don't believe he's been in the TBT before. If he is, I'm mistaken, but we'll see. I think he has the potential to be really good on a really good team.
This might be my favorite board, including my own. I'm really excited about this board. A lot of good scores.
He's got 3 charge guys on there too. He's got Blakeney, he's got Jordan Crawford, he's got Trey Davis. He's loading them up. But the real story here is how in the world he got Diamond Stone before you did, Hainer.
This whole I'm the captain of the Diamond Stone fan club doesn't make any. I don't know where this rumor has ever come from. It always cracks me up. I thought I liked this game once.
You were going. Oh, you were just drooling the one season, drooling over him.
Do you know what Luke has that you need for picking? Headphones. That's what Luke has that you need. Okay.
Oh, stop it.
You're killing the sound. You're killing me. Okay. But in between killing the sound, talk a little bit about what is actually a really high quality draft here, Charge. So get into it. Like, there's some good picks here.
Yeah, no, this is the winning team, obviously. When we walk through this all, we show the picks. This is obviously the winning team. Two things I was trying to do here is find people who were going to go very deep into the tournament. So that was kind of priority 1. And priority 2, I went with more known entities. I'm a stats guy, so just pulling down previous history, previous years, results, and numbers, and this is basically how it shook out. I wanted a lot of guards that could score, rebound, assist, play some defense, and I think I accomplished that throughout the whole draft. So Jones, Barford, and Basta is my top 3. Solid. Shaq Buchanan, I almost got to worry about him getting an NBA contract before the TBT, but this guy's going to kill it. Kevin Jones, the best guy on the team that's going to win the West Virginia Regional. TMT is going to go extremely deep. So Trevor Booker, this guy's mean, and he's guaranteed a double-double every single game. So he's
not going to touch the ball. He's not going to touch the ball.
He doesn't need to. He's going to get 10 rebounds, some putbacks. He don't need to touch the ball. He's going to make his own way.
He's going to post up, and Crawford and Fredette are going to say, "Go get the ball and shoot it." That's what's going to happen.
No, they're going to feed him. And then I think where I started to evolve as the draft went on this one is taking Scoochie Smith and Jordan Seibert. There wasn't a whole lot of Red Scare guys drafted in this draft. I believe I think you got Kufos, Hainer, which we'll talk about in a second. But I truly, as the draft went on, we were talking about Red Scare, and we were also on the same kind of breath talking about how Golden Eagles may struggle a little bit this year with some of their changes. So I thought Scoochie and Cyber were still here, but everything else below that, Stephon Branch is just insane. So to get him at pick number 10, I thought was a steal as well. Defensively, this guy is probably going to lead the TBT in steals. So I thought that was a great pick too. But once again, rounded out with a bunch of guards. So I'm not even sure where I'm going to start because we are so stinking deep. It's crazy, but feeling really great about this team.
It's a really, really good squad. 2 things that we all undervalued, though, as a quick aside, were 2 things. And I think it's 2 universal things. Red Scare was pretty undervalued here. A lot of guys went late who were pretty good. Everybody, raise your hand if you kind of just basically tried to avoid Rucker Park for picks. I just didn't spend much time there because I can't pick a team. What were you going to say there, Walt?
I was saying, a little bit. I ended up with 1 or 2 guys, but it was definitely something I thought about before I made my picks each time.
I can't remember who got Troy Davis, but I just picked XRM as I think their IGC is going to make it out of there, so I'm going to take a gamble. I can put up a triple double at any point.
I think XRM's a tremendous pick. I'm gonna be there at least on Sunday for those games up in Harlem. Okay. I'm looking forward to watching him play. Like, I don't know. Well, you're the college guy. Has anybody ever put up 30 in 5 minutes other than XRM?
That was a pretty crazy thing, man. Bryce Cotton might have for Providence a couple years ago, but that was nuts for sure.
This guy's just a bucket getter. He's going to be fun to watch playing outdoors. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Outdoors, and provided it doesn't rain. We should figure out what the weather's going to be this weekend. I mean, I'll be there as well, so hopefully I'll see you there, Luke. But I got my press pass already set up, so we're there. Okay, and I won't go this time. We're a little long. So for that, Boynton, Dom, I went with scoring. Mooney looks like he won't play, which is going to hurt me a little. I went with guys who can fill it up. I just said I want guys who'll go at least 2 or 3 rounds minimum, and will put up numbers. There's a couple of guys on this board who aren't going to play, which makes sense. I have hopefully a deep draft of bucket getters. Will Coleman being the captain of a very good underdogs team is more of a substantial or sort of a pick for fun because I love Will and I love Memphis guys. But other than that, it was a pretty fun draft for me. I'm pretty happy about it. I don't think I have the best board. I think Luke has the best board, but I'm pretty happy. I think I'll finish a strong second or third. So anyway, let's get into it a little bit. Let's relax. So let's hide this quickly. So, Charge, first of all, it's been a lot of fun today. Anything we learned in this process?
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely a lot of fun. I think as we went through this draft, I think we, started to kind of get a feel for who we thought was going to win the TBT, and that played a much bigger factor than I thought it would. Obviously it's critical to get deep, but I mean, most teams aren't going to get 5-6 games. They're going to get 2 to 4 games. I thought we'd see a little more balance, but we all really started loading up on the same teams, which could, either, be a blessing or could be a curse. So we'll see how that plays out. But once again, it was fun. I got a lot of messages from people like when I tell them we're doing this fantasy draft, why did you invite me? So first year trying it with 6 guys. We'll see how it goes. Should be pretty easy to maintain, but maybe we'll expand next year. But yeah, it was a blast doing it. It kind of happened over Twitter over the course of a few days, and it was just a really good time.
I apologize in advance for the fact I was traveling and everything was a bit of a mess. So anyway, I want to thank our guests, Ty, Luke, Walt. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for drafting with us. We're going to let it go here. It's a little long. So this has been Zoom the TBT, and we're going to go ahead and sign off.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.